Yo, Daystorm. I'm a big fan. Boone, New Jersey here. Just wanted to talk about your video with the shootings. You know, your response to the shootings and all the tragedy going on. I know you were addressing the government, and kind of think about that, and I realized that at the same time, you know, you were talking about the task force to step in, you know, on these people who are crazy. You know, obviously people are freaking insane, you know what I mean? But it all comes down to money. Always comes down to money. You know, the government needs to set aside a budget for this task force when they can't even set aside a budget for the schools. You know, they're losing good teachers, you know, because of all this BS with the unions and everything else. They can't afford that. They can't afford security in schools. Now, my high school, when I went to school, which was like 10 years ago or something, they didn't have all this stuff. They didn't need cameras and security guards walking around. They had the principal doing his job. They had, you know, the vice principal doing their job, walking around, you know, keeping an eye on stuff. Now it's just too crazy. You know, so there's that. The other thing that you were talking about before with people getting involved, like, I know you said, like, if you seen a dude beating up a chick, right, you would step in. But that shit don't always fly. I found myself in a situation a little over a year ago where I was driving around and I pulled into this spot that I knew because, you know, I used to hang there. And there was this guy beating up this girl. So I put my high beams on him, you know, to kind of scare him, you know, show him somebody's there. And it didn't work. He just kind of like kept going about his thing, beating on this girl. So I got out of the car and I was like, yo, you know, I'm trying to get his attention, get him away from her. And he came at me with a knife and I chicken winged him. And in the heat of the moment, you know, I had a fight response and I stabbed the dude. And I know it wasn't the right thing to do. I probably should have tossed the knife at that point and called the cops. You know, that's what the cops said. But I was scared. I was fearing for my life. So I took it upon myself to injure this guy, you know, so that he wouldn't come after me. And it got me, like, scared as shit. And I had to go through the whole court deal and everything else. And because the situation was, you know, the way it was, I ended up lucking out and only getting probation for like a couple years. Now, at the same time, you know, I got to deal with that consequence as a result of helping somebody else. Sometimes people don't want to get involved just because of the consequences. So that's another thing, you know, you got to look at. I like what you were saying about the, you know, show this guy no fame, you know, don't write a book about it, don't, you know, TV movies, shit like that. You know, that was cool. At the same time, I said the same thing in my 9/11 video. You know, everybody talks about 9/11 and the Twin Towers and the attacks on the Pentagon and all that jazz, right? And at the same time, they're just making people more scared. You know what I mean? It's one thing to remember, but it's another thing to scare people. I work in a porn shop. It's not very glamorous of a job, but it is what it is. I make my money. I get my paper, you know. And at the same time, I had a guy in here tell me that he was, you know, he would see me after the weekend if he made it home because it was 9/11. You know, if he didn't get bombed or something on his way home to New York, which is messed up. You know, people are living in fear because of that stuff. And they just keep pushing it and pushing it down our throats, and that's not cool. So at the same time, you know, they say, you know, you don't know where you're going unless you know where you've been. And at the same time, I think it should be taken as a lesson. You know, maybe not just, you know, put out there as a movie or a book or some crap like that, but people should at least know things that happen so that they can avoid it in their daily life in the future. You know, I think that's the way that is. Other than that, I got nothing else to say. You know, leave me a comment or something. Let me know what's up, what you guys all think. You know, anybody that watches this response. And Daystorm, big fan, out of New Jersey. Thank you, and I'll talk to y'all later.